everybody. I'm Kirsten Chen. I'm a senior editor with Honeysuckle, and I'm here today with Lucy Vives. Thank you for joining us, Lucy.
No, thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Did you enjoy the shoot today?
Oh yeah, no, today was really, really fun.
We just wrapped up a photo shoot with Lucy here at Norwood in Chelsea. And can you tell us where you're based usually?
I wouldn't say I have a base per se. I live in New Orleans, which definitely isn't where I work mostly, but I go to school there, study. I'm from Bogota, Colombia, so I do a lot of my work there, but when it's not there, it's between here and LA.
Okay, can you tell us what you're studying?
So, I am a philosophy major. I mostly study women's studies, though, that's my minor. And between those two things, that's about, that takes
a lot.
99% of my time, for sure.
And so I know you have your own creative impulses beyond modeling. It's writing and music?
Yes,
am I right?
Yeah, you're correct. So modeling was just kind of the first thing I was able to feel comfortable with, which that was. Music is tricky, and I'm very kind of jealous with my art. I don't want anyone to see anything unless I think it's perfect, and any creative out there knows that that moment doesn't exist, so we end up not releasing anything at all and not doing very much except for our showers, our memo pods, and just secret stuff that we don't show to anyone. After a year or two of doing photography and doing performance art photography and then fashion photography, I kind of felt comfortable about my art in general, so I was like, let's get in the studio and see what happens. And an EP's on the way. We're 4 songs in, so that's exciting. Multi-genre, bilingual, just craziness, whatever's been in my brain, but finally solidifying it.
Awesome. And so when can fans keep an eye out for that?
Hopefully before winter of 2018.
We have this awesome feature of you in our new issue, Hers.
I'm so excited.
I find it's right at the beginning. And so in here, you had, it's an awkward angle, but in here you had said something that really stuck with me about young women being very selective about who they choose as their role models on social media, especially. So I think the one phrase that stuck with me was cut the bullshit. Can you talk a little bit about that and reframe it for the audience here?
I love the cut the bullshit. So I think that people are looking everywhere so intensely for their identities and for who they want to be and who they ought to be more than anything. And the cut the bullshit is kind of, there's so much of it. There's so much fat that you can trim in social media right now, especially about these liberal topics that are so important. And I think that it's almost insulting to actual social justice period, not social justice warriors or whatever the hell. There's a name for it now. But just be genuine, cut the actual bullshit. Don't pretend like it's something that you like. Don't pretend because it's what's special or because it's what you think girls want to hear that you are anti-oppression and that you're not racist and that you're not sexist and that you're okay with everybody
But learn first.
Actually learn first, because then what you find afterwards is the hypocrisy, and it's almost worse. Let's remember that there's a department for this, and there's an academia for this, and there has been for centuries. We didn't just invent feminism this year. We didn't just invent feminism that time that the march happened, which was a historically beautiful moment. So remembering that's important, and actually understanding it, because then it turns into man-hating, and that's not what feminism is. But I think it comes from coming and cutting the bullshit, actually, because women are women, and there is something we all have in common.
So it's a matter of balancing both welcoming people into the movement, of course, but also encouraging them to be educated before kind of taking it over.
Right.
And claiming it for themselves. We should definitely be all selective and careful in today's age and social media and, the information that we take in and what we put out there too.
Earn your pussy hat, you know what I mean?
Earn your pussy hat, I like that. From Lucy Vives, earn your pussy hat. So can you tell us a bit about your female role models? I know you're very close with your family.
Yes, definitely. Lions tend to be, and yes, I'm happy to say that I have a family that doesn't think I'm a total black duckling or just like ugly duckling.
I don't think anyone thinks you're an ugly duckling.
In the family, that's usually in Spanish, el patito feo, el patito negro is always the one in the family that's like a little bit too liberal, a little bit too weird, a little bit too cool. That was me for a while until I actually started studying all the crazy shit I was talking about. So definitely my grandmother is, every generation I think has a different kind of version of a female role model. Unfortunately in my time, I don't see many, and I think that's where I want to push the furthest, and why I'm pushing as far as I am and working as hard as I am is because I'm scared for girls like me. I'm scared for friends of mine. I'm scared for my little sister. I'm scared for all generations of girls and boys that are growing up with a lack of role models.
Role models outside of women in your family.
Most of them have died. But I think that it's important because their literature is still around.
Right.
Women like Simone de Beauvoir, though she can be an extremist, I think it's important to read these kinds of extreme feminist texts for you to find your way in the middle. Emma Watson, I think, are important because they promote reading in general, and reading books by women. I think that also women like Chelsea Handler, who handle this kind of audience that it's not your, I guess, your go-to educated audience. I'm going to take what I do, and there's always a way to contribute and, match feminism and the revolution and education with what you're doing, whether it's comedy or acting or modeling. I think as long as you bring the message with you, you're guilty if you don't.
So I'm wondering how you perceive yourself moving forward and fighting for that intersection of femininity alongside of feminism.
I think that's a really important question that I don't hear enough. So it's really important to talk about the fact that feminism doesn't have to look a certain way. It has to be embodied in a certain manner. Yeah, it's a vibe, it's a frequency, it's a lifestyle. A feminist isn't, that girl that completely throws away all of her makeup per se. I mean, that's a kind of feminist for sure. Throw out all your makeup if you want to. You don't need it, but if you like it and if it's a part of your life, we can talk about where that comes from and whether it's like a psyche oppression. Okay, that's cool, but I mean, it's those kinds of exclusions that keep the movement from progressing, if you ask me. Because there's women that love their femininity today, and there's reasons outside of the patriarchy for us to love our femininity. There's reasons for me to love my naked body that aren't men. As long as you're doing what you're doing for you and what you're doing because you like it, that's feminism. Whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, it's mostly about the intention more than how you're dressing it. That's the beautiful part of feminism, is that you can have girls that completely throw all that away and that feel beautiful without it and that feel ugly with it. And you have girls that have the same beliefs, but they'll wear heels and a dress and all that uncomfortable shit that makes them feel beautiful for themselves.
Of course, we just did the Hers issue for Honeysuckle. And you had talked a bit there about your activism and your strong intention with women. So can you maybe speak to that aspect of your life?
Of course. I think that not just right now, I think I'm blessed to be in a generation where this has an audience. And there are people that, I don't know, think feminism is trending, and whether or not I think that's good, it does bring attention to the movement in and of itself, and hopefully it brings people that are actually interested to read more and look more into what it actually means to be a part of the women's liberation movement or be a part of the gender equality movement. And I think that it's important, if not necessary, to use any kind of platform that you have, if you have it, to educate if you can.
Here today in New York City at Norwood with Lucy Vives, in your own words, tell us what you want the world to know about you. Who is Lucy?
I think, hello, world. Lucy is is just a girl. She's an artist, she's a person, and she's trying really hard to find people out there that want to listen and want to experience the life and words and thoughts and theories that I have to share through my art. I don't know if I'm here to entertain as much as I am to educate, but I hope to do both simultaneously. And more than anything, it's an adventure that I globally want to share with whoever wants to come with me. I think first off, if you're trying to find yourself, the best place to look is obviously in here. If you're looking out there, you're going to find somebody else, and I'm not sure if that's what you want. Because when you find yourself on the inside, then the real journey starts of how to like that thing, that person that you found. There's so many people out there that are going to hate you. You don't need to do it yourself.
Thank you so much.
No, you're a rock star. Thank you so much. You're great. That was an amazing interview.